Hello, everyone. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome into the Mad Science Lab podcast. Today, we will be continuing on with the My Thoughts on My Team series. Here to break down the Atlanta Falcons is Jason Allwine. Jason, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm a fan of the Breaking Bad music.
I am too, until they find out and I get sued. But yeah, Jason is from Player Profiler. I always love the shows where I have one of the Player Profiler guys on. I seem to get along best with you guys. There's some eccentric personalities, and it really lets me bring out my inner. Well, we'll move on from that and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
So, you want to take a second and tell everyone where they can find you? Player Profiler, obviously.
Yeah, you can find me on for Player Profiler specifically. I run their Instagram and Facebook, so go check out those pages. Road to Wonderworld on Instagram, Player Profiler on Facebook. My personal Twitter is jfootballwine, and currently I'm hosting 2 shows on the network: Wake and Take Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and Trade Gods Thursday night with my Trade God brethren, Matty Kiwoo.
Nice. Maddie's fun.
He's great.
Did you hear my worst case scenario here? I've been sitting at home for 3 hours since I dropped my kid off, not a peep in the house. 47 seconds into filming, my dog's barking at the mailman. Never fails. I don't know if you heard that in the background, but all righty, let's get into her here. We have the Atlanta Falcons bringing up the depth chart. A rather interesting quarterback room. I would have expected it to be Desmond Ritter's job coming into the year, and ultimately I think he's going to get first dibs at it. He showed some signs of life last year, a bit of a rushing floor, some talent. I guess we'll have to see how he plays out. And the backup being Taylor Heineke, not nearly as much upside, more of just a backup quarterback. If it gets to the point where Taylor Heineke is the starter, something has gone terribly wrong with Desmond Ridder, and the Falcons are in trouble. What are your thoughts on this quarterback room?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Desmond Ridder right now. I think he's a screaming value in terms of fantasy football, and I think he's a good football player as well. Over his 4 starts last season, he didn't turn the ball over once, didn't have an interception, and that's rare to say for a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback, and especially a rookie quarterback with only one wide receiver to throw to. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I really am.
That quarterback class from last year is one of the hardest things to assess that I've ever seen. You know, I get it. They're the freshest of the classes, but the last 3 or 4 years, you have a pretty good definition of who's going to be someone and who isn't. Even this season, you have a little bit more definition, or a definitive look at who everyone is and what they. Last year, there's Pickett. Is kind of going to be a middling QB2. We have the next 4 guys taken may never play another game in the NFL, or they may be Pro Bowlers. What was it? Ridder, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Sam Howell. We don't know a year in, we don't know anything about these guys, really. Desmond Ridder, I feel like he had the most starts out of the group, I would say. Howell started 1, Corral didn't play because of the injury, and Malik Willis played, maybe 2?
Yeah, I think 2 or 3.
So Ridder played, what do you think? I don't have the exact numbers. Do you think it was 8 games? 6 games?
I think it was 4.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was just 4.
Still played more than the other 4 combined. That's a scary notion. So
yeah, wow,
it's a really tough quarterback class to decide and figure out. I think we're going to have to wait at least another year. The problem is some of them are going to start to get buried this year behind other quarterbacks. I don't really think there's much more to say here. Just kind of give Desmond Ridder a chance to see what he has and hope it's him. If not, you're going to be seeing Heineke bridging to probably a quarterback again next year in the draft.
Yep.
Moving on to one of the more exciting running back rooms, Tyler Algier. I carried me to several fantasy championships off the waiver wire, and then I wrote an article in the summer saying, sell all your day 3 running backs, Algier, Pacheco, Pierce. So far, Algier's the only one who met with his demise in the NFL draft, as they brought in Bijan Robinson at 8 overall. I forget on this team they still have Cordero Patterson. I don't know if he's going to be used maybe more as a wide receiver this year, or what's he got to be, 33 now, 32?
I think that's 32. I think we're looking at 32.
And then they have Caleb Huntley. What are your thoughts on this interesting room.
Yeah, obviously expecting huge things from Bijan Robinson. Selling Tyler Algier was a smart move. If you've tuned into the trade gods ever, we've talked about that plenty.
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson, I love him. I don't think he's going to be good for fantasy at this point, considering how crowded it's now become. But he will be a good football player, and he's going to score a couple touchdowns next season, considering if he stays on the team. So a fan of him. Caleb Huntley, I don't really nothing to say about him, really, at all.
Cordero's best season was the year, 2 years ago? They used him primarily as a running back, I feel, right? Like a pass catching running back. Do you think, with all the depth in front of him, do you think they have to, slot him back out as a wide receiver? Because not to skip ahead, but looking at this wide receiver room, it's pretty barren. They could probably use him at wide receiver more than running back.
They could, yeah. He's the perfect player to do that. Think he came into the NFL as a wide receiver, didn't find much success
in Minnesota.
So he has the tool set, and I think they could run him as a running back too, do some out of the backfield work every once in a while.
Kind of a Debo role, I would think.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that'd be great. He's incredibly efficient. He really is, and he's a really good football player. And yeah, he's 32, but he doesn't have a normal 32-year-old NFL running back's workload up until this point. So he still has a little bit of tread. A little bit.
I would definitely think he'd have to be slotted in as the Debo role. And in the end, that's probably what's best for the team. Like I said, they've got Bijan and Tyler Algier. I know I kid and I say Algier's completely dead. Do you think Bijan comes in and just takes over completely? Or do you think they ease him into it? And basically what I'm asking is, what do you think Algier's role is going to be, early on and throughout the season? Is he just completely gone now? Or
I honestly think he's completely gone. I really do. I think that we're seeing kind of a Philip Lindsay effect with him. Good rookie year, then gone. Thank God.
That's a real shame. Maybe he'll take the James Robinson route and get traded somewhere else. Although that didn't work out for Robinson either. So
no.
What a real shame. I was hoping maybe he'd kind of be, get a small role. Obviously, I have some shares of Bijan, so I want Bijan as the number one. But you'd think he'd still get some touches, and they maybe run Cordell more as a, like I said, Debo type. But it's definitely going to be an interesting situation and pretty sad for those who had Algier. Moving on to a very ugly wide receiver room. We have Drake London and a bunch of people I've never heard of. Mac Hollins, Scotty Miller, Kaderil Hodge, Frank Darby, and Jared Bernhardt. Yeah, I think this is pretty much the Drake London show. How Drake London doesn't finish as a top 12 receiver, I have no idea, other than the fact that they just don't do anything but run the ball. This is an ugly wide receiver room. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm not in on Drake London too much because I do think they're going to be passing the ball a lot. I still think he'll be great. I think top 20 is probably where I'll throw my expectation for him. The rest of the room, it's tough. All of these guys, again, I've been using this term a lot, good football players, not great fantasy players. Mac Hollins is going to have a game. Kaderil Hodge will definitely have a game. He had a 1 or 2 last season, I believe. And Mac Hollins, he blew up a little bit in Las Vegas last season. Hopefully some of that magic is captured in Atlanta again. But this team, plain and simple, doesn't pass the ball enough to really expect too much out of any of these guys, at least on a consistent basis.
That shows you how little they pass. That essentially this passing attack consists of Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and then a couple of running backs, and yet still Drake London and Kyle Pitts probably won't end up outproducing their ADP by that much. They just don't do anything but run the ball.
Yep.
Which means Bijan could have a monster season. This could be a truly scary rookie year. The more we go through this, the more I see, my God, Bijan's going to have 500 touches. This is scary.
So, it is.
Yeah, transitioning to a tight end room that's got landmines all through it. We have Kyle Pitts, who was great as a rookie and then basically injured for half of his sophomore season. Jonnu Smith, newly acquired from the Patriots. Felipe Franks, who was kind of their version of Taysom Hill. Some have him listed as QB, some have him listed as tight end. He does a little bit of both.
Yep.
This essentially, I think, is I would have said it's the Kyle Pitts show, but I don't know Atlanta's offense that well. Do they run a lot of 2 tight end sets? What's the point of Jonnu here? Any thoughts?
Um, yeah, every once in a while, with the season that they had Pitts and Hayden Hurst, there was a tiny bit of overlap. I do think, if this was 4 or 5 years ago, the Jonnu Smith would be a little bit more of a threat. But at this point, we didn't see him do too much in New England. And Felipe Franks isn't a blocking tight end, plain and simple. And Jonnu Smith can block pretty well. So I think that's more what he was brought in for. And if Kyle Pitts goes down, they'll have someone who is familiar with the system. He is from Tennessee with the Titans. I believe Arthur Smith was there together. If not, it's still pretty similar to the offense that was run in that time. So I think it's just more of a coach's guy, a system guy, a guy who can step up if Kyle Pitts goes down again.
So a run-heavy team brings in a run-blocking tight end.
Yeah.
God, they're going to run the ball 9 out of 10 plays, aren't they?
11 out of 10.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So that was not the most exciting team to run through, I can tell you that. There were a few players. There was Bijan and then a few, maybe.
Yeah.
I know it's early. I don't know if you play much best ball. That's what I've been using as the eventual redraft ADP. Based on what you think they're going to be drafted, who is someone you're going to target at cost? Obviously, Bijan's the guy you want, but Bijan's going to take a first-round pick, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think he's worth that, but for the sake of, trying to find value in this question, it's Desmond Ridder. Yeah, I think that he's genuinely a screaming value. No, they don't pass the ball a lot, but the system that they run is perfect for this type of quarterback. You can have like a Jimmy Garoppolo-esque season where he maybe scores like 2 passing touchdowns a game, sometimes runs one in. I think that that's basically exactly what you're going to get with very minimal turnovers. So I think that I mean, he's probably one of the last quarterbacks being drafted right now. I haven't done any best ball drafts, but I imagine that's probably where it's happening, and I think 100% worth it.
Yeah, could be a solid super flex quarterback.
100%.
Bijan, in redraft, where do you think you're comfortable taking him? How high? I know he's going to go – right now it seems he's going towards the end of the first round. Call it 1 QB, so just ignore the quarterbacks for now. How many players do you think you'd take above him? Obviously, the 2 receivers, Chase and Jefferson.
Yeah.
Who else do you think goes above him? Where are you comfortable taking him?
This is probably a hot take, but I mean, probably that's it. Maybe, if you're a quarterback guy, you can take the Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts before him if you really, really want to. That's kind of a trend I've been seeing is quarterbacks going in the first round, but I think Bijan's probably the number 1 running back I'm targeting. The other ones that are close in that tier have all a bunch of concerns. Breece Hall has concerns. Kenneth Walker just had a Zach Charbonnet come in. Jonathan Taylor has concerns.
And then Eckler and CMC are getting up there, yeah.
Yeah, all of them have concerns. So I think Bijan might be the first running back I take. I think so.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Truly scary. Makes me think that I really hope I get Jefferson or Chase, because taking a rookie who's never played is kind of scary with your first overall or your first pick. But who do you think you're going to avoid in this on this roster based on their ADP? What you think it'll be?
Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts. Yeah, he's just even. You know what? I had a lot of Devy leagues or Campus to Canton leagues, and all I did for the year before his final year at Florida, all I did was talk to everyone in my work dynasty league about how great Kyle Pitts was and how I couldn't wait to draft Kyle Pitts in the first round next year in all my dynasties. And then Kyle Pitts came around draft season the next year. I own no Kyle Pitts shares. He went too high in redraft. He just went high everywhere. And I said, I went from a player where I was all in and I wanted him everywhere to a guy I just didn't get anywhere. And even off of last season, I still think he's going too high. People taking him right behind Kelsey and Andrews. And I think I just wait a few rounds and I'd rather take someone, cheaper and safer like Hawkinson. He always goes so bloody high. I just can't take him.
That's exactly how I feel about it. I do think he'll have big games, but I think he'll have a bunch of stinkers as well. I think he'll have 4 or 5 like 2-point games next season, and you just can't have that where he's being drafted. You just can't. I would almost rather take a chance on like Irv Smith, that ADP, than Kyle Pitts.
In this offense, all they do is run. I don't want to commit a high draft pick on a tight end on a rushing team that really, like, he had a good rookie season, but normal standards, it was like what was it, tight end 8 his rookie year, something like that. Say he does that again. I don't want to spend a third round pick on tight end 8. No thanks. You're right. I'd take Irv Smith in the 15th round over that, and Irv's going to finish as tight end 12 or 13. Once you hit tight end 6 or 7, they're all the same. It doesn't matter. So, is there anyone on here you think's going to be a good sleeper or a good value, assuming you're going to go back to Desmond Ridder here?
Yeah, I mean, he's the value. I'll say this, maybe for Scott Fishbowl. I don't know if you ever give analysis for that, but I think
every episode I always mention that this is a guy I like in Scott Fishbowl in the 20th round. You know, you just hope and pray.
Yeah, I think Koo's going to be that guy. Kicker in a dome. Probably a pretty damn good offense next season. Already a really, really good one on top of that. So I think Koo's going to be a guy you can take a chance on because, you know, sometimes you start a kicker in Scott Fishbowl. Sometimes you just do.
Sometimes I start 3 kickers in Scott Fishbowl. Did it last year. I'm not going to lie. I had my whole flow chart. At what point it was, instead of taking wide receiver 90, let's just take kicker 4. I don't care, but I think I'm going to be targeting in that format and Tyler Algier here, either under the hopes that I'm wrong and Bijan. You know, how many times did they say this? Well, we did this with Javonte. Javante's going to come in and Melvin Gordon's going to be dead. And it eventually turns out that way, but it doesn't necessarily happen week 1. So I'd like to take some shots on Algier and, you know, just in case maybe we're wrong and it's a little slower and Algier has a little bit more role than we think. You know, it's a heavy rush offense. You're not going to run Bijan every single play. He's got to sprinkle on Algier, or under the unfortunate situation where if Bijan ever went down, Algier, if I get him in the 20th round, is going to be free money. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, hey, if you do take Algier and he does have a significant role week 1, sell that bad boy because it's just going to go down from there.
Yeah. Well, I can't sell him because in all the leagues where I owned him, I sold after year 1, knowing that day 3 picks are just disposable. So sell high, and I sold high, but
good.
Now I'll buy low and then try sell high again. It's a vicious cycle, but
it is.
All right, where do you see them finishing in this division?
First?
Yeah, I was thinking first or second with Carolina. I think Tampa's easily the worst team. New Orleans isn't much better. I could see Atlanta or Carolina, depending on which essentially rookie quarterback is better, whether it's Ridder or I'm trying to blank. Was it Bryce Young?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I can't remember. I'm like, Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? Who went there? It's Bryce Young. So I could see either. Okay, they went 7-10, over, under, or the same for wins this season.
Let's go 8-9.
I was gonna say it's got to be over, otherwise you're projecting them to win with a 7-10 record.
Which is possible in this crap of a division.
I was having a conversation about this division one of the other podcasts on the Carolina one, saying, do you think it's possible that a team in this division wins the division at 6-11? That's how bad this could be. So,
love that.
Yeah, I think they could also win this as well. I think they're probably, like you said, 8-9 or 9-8, but it will remain to be seen. All right. Thank you for joining me, Jason. You want to take another second here to tell everyone where they can find your work?
Yeah, again, just the Roto Underworld, Instagram and Facebook. My Twitter's JFootballWine. Tune into my shows Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Wake and Take on the Player Profiler YouTube channel, and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Trade Gods, again, on the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining me. It was a pleasure. I love your show. I watch it all the time. Like I said, every time I pop up, you seem to be in the feed. You and the other Player Profiler guys, nonstop like ESPN 24/7. So, all righty. Well, once again, I'm Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and this has been my thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons with Jason Allwine of Player Profiler. Thank you, everyone, for joining the Mad Science Lab podcast. Take care.